Following a media briefing at the United Nations Development Programme office in Freetown, the Interagency Ebola Response Team in Sierra Leone, under the auspices of the United Nations Resident Coordinator, has described that a total of 73 people have been discharged from the quarantine homes after 21 days of case monitoring at the quarantine homes in Tonkolili, Cambia and Potloko district, respectively. The discharge of these people from quarantine homes is being considered as an important milestone in the government-led response, which rapidly identify all people who had contact with the indexed case. It also signals the beginning of a new critical phase to account for the remaining 48 contacts in Cambia who have yet to be seen. Anders Nordstrom from the World Health Organization said the rapid identification, location, isolation of those who have been exposed is critical in reducing risk of potential infection to themselves, their families and their communities, and that this marks the beginning of a critical phase to find and account for the 48 missing contacts in Cambia.
This day is about those people, but it's also about making sure that we have a country, Sierra Leone, that is safe now and for the future. Those 73 people, they are discharged today from the quarantines after having been there now since the 14th of January when we had the index case, that is 21 days. This shows also what we can see today, that by an effective, rapid, not very dramatic response, we were, the government together with the partners, able to contain the outbreak. We have had one single secondary case, as we know about this far. I'm going to come to that. But it's been an effective response, and that response has been also very much dependent on the collaboration by people. People that have now been in quarantine for those days has also been very much part of the response. And I would say that at the end, we might see this again, and we need the same way of managing this time, next time as well, in an effective, consolidated, trustful way with people. Talking now the next step, because those has been the 21 days now for those people. We still have 4 people remaining in quarantine in Tonkolili that will stay there until Thursday next week. But this also marks now for the work in Cambia the sort of beginning of what we call phase 2, meaning another 21 days where the focus will be not to run after, not to hunt, but to account for the people, the contacts that are still missing.
Gabriel Rugulema, the UN Resident Coordinator, and from the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, gave a clear description of the present situation of the Ebola epidemic in the country and said the interagency team has been very active in the recent flare-up of the Ebola disease in Sierra Leone and commended the government of Sierra Leone for the proactive step they have taken so far to end the Ebola outbreak in the country.
The patient had unfortunately died, but the swab tests indicated that the patient had died of Ebola. So from that minute, the government, when it received and verified this information, the response plan was kicked into gear, and from then until now, the government is leading this response. So today, a significant number of contacts of that index case are being discharged from the quarantine that they have been in for the last 21 days. And to reaffirm the role and readiness of the international community, support to the government and the people of Sierra Leone. This is not the only operation where the international community is working with the government of Sierra Leone, is part, but also we are working with the government in many other development areas. So the discharge from quarantine is but a small step in the broader epidemiological spectrum of Ebola.
The Center for Disease Control, CDC Country Director Sarah Hasse, mentioned that this recent Ebola case originated from Sierra Leone, but so far they have not been able to trace the direct point of contact, and said for every Ebola test being done, the result comes within 24 hours, and asked that information be shared of any suspected case of Ebola, as that helps in their investigations.
I would not say at this stage, just because there was one case, that it means that it's not as effective. What I would say, the fact that we had one case and that woman didn't transmit it to another person in Tonkalili is because the case investigation worked. People got in there early. They identified who the contacts were in Tonkalili, and they were able to monitor them. Had we not been able to do that, that one new case could have transmitted it to another person, and we would have seen what we saw in the past, a long, long transmission chain. What we know is that this new case originated in Sierra Leone. I think that's what's really important. And it did come from Liberia. It did not come from Guinea. It was related to the outbreak that we had before. And so I think that's really what the important thing is. And as we know, in this geographic area, there's a lot of movement. So a lot of these, particularly in the West, a lot of these, the cases are related to each other. So that's what we know.
However, statements were made from World Food Programme WFP as the made mention that there is enough food supply in quarantine homes to prevent any movement of people from these homes, and other members of the United Nations Communication Group made their input as to the present situation in the country and further cautioned that there is a possibility of resurgence of the disease and that as a country we must be on our guard to prevent any outbreak of Ebola, making mention that the Interagency Rapid Response team was conveyed to assist the government of Sierra Leone in their response. For Star News, Adama Who reporting.